News, and these are the headlines. The EU confirms it's introducing export controls on coronavirus vaccines. It means individual member states will decide whether to allow exports produced in their own country. It's the latest step in the row with the pharmaceutical giant AstraZeneca over delayed deliveries to the European Union. Meanwhile, the EU regulator has now given full approval for the Oxford AstraZeneca COVID vaccine to be given to all over 18s across the bloc. In the UK, a new coronavirus vaccine, which will be largely manufactured in Teesside, is shown to be 89% effective in trials. And another vaccine developed by the US manufacturer Johnson & Johnson is the latest to prove effective in phase 3 trials. In other news, alarm at the UN over reports the military in Myanmar could reject the result of November's general election.
In South Africa, President Cyril Ramaphosa urges rich countries not to claim all the supplies of COVID-19 vaccines. In India, thousands of farmers marched Tuesday in the capital New Delhi to protest agricultural reforms. They attacked barriers and clashed with police. Iran warns the U.S. government that it has a limited time to rejoin the 2015 nuclear deal between it and several other nations. And in the United States, California lifts its statewide stay-at-home orders for the coronavirus health crisis.
The United States is rushing to vaccinate residents from the coronavirus as it continues to battle the world's largest outbreak. Experts worry the situation could worsen as new variants emerge and are warning everyone to remain on alert. U.S. officials say the latest weekly average shows the country continues to log about 150,000 cases a day. It's a steep decline from the peak hit earlier this month, but the number of deaths remains stubbornly high.
If we continue on the current trajectory, the CDC most recent national ensemble forecast predicts that 479,000 to 514,000 COVID-19 deaths will be reported by February 20th, 2021. I know this is not news we all want to hear, but this is something we must say so we are all aware.
Medical experts are also concerned about the rise of new and potent strains. Officials in South Carolina this week confirmed 2 patients were infected with a variant that originated in South Africa. Minnesota officials found the first known case of another contagious strain originating from Brazil. The U.S. top infectious disease expert says authorities are looking into whether current vaccines and therapies are still effective. Now, data from Johns Hopkins University show more than 101 million cases have been confirmed across the globe. Over 2.1 million people have died. And here in Japan, officials reported another 3,500 cases on Friday as leaders of some of the hardest hit prefectures met to discuss the current state of emergency. The declaration is set to expire February 7th, but may be extended.
We need to take strict precautions as the number of people testing positive remains high.
The medical care system in Kanagawa Prefecture remains extremely strained.
11 prefectures are under the state of emergency. Governors in the capital region say they'll ask to meet with the central government. They want to discuss antivirus measures and the possibility of further financial relief for businesses and people who've lost work. Tokyo reported another 868 infections on Friday. Daily cases have been going down, but health experts remain concerned.
If people let their guard down now after seeing this slight decline in cases, the figure will once again rise in a week or two. To prevent that from happening, it is very important to continue thoroughly implementing current measures.
Okinawa in southern Japan is dealing with a serious outbreak on a small remote island. Only 55,000 people live on Miyakojima, which has been recording about 30 cases a day. This public hospital has already filled all 44 beds reserved for COVID-19 patients. As it scrambles to find more resources, it's had to stop admitting walk-in patients.
The medical system here is becoming unable to provide essential medical care. The question now is if we can avoid the worst and keep providing medical care.
Nurses with Japan's self-defense forces arrived on the island Friday to help deal with a cluster of infections at a nursing care facility. It's the 6th time SDF nurses have been deployed to help deal with the pandemic. UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres has called for international efforts to make coronavirus vaccines available to everyone. Guterres received his first dose at a public facility in New York. The 71-year-old was eligible to receive the vaccine as the city's current vaccination phase includes residents over the age of 65. He urged everyone to get vaccinated as quickly as possible.
I'm very grateful to the city of New York and to this wonderful staff here in Adlai Stevenson School in Bronx for the vaccine I just got. And to say how important it is for everybody everywhere to be vaccinated. And my appeal is for all to take profit of the opportunities that exist and be vaccinated as soon as they can.
An initiative led by the World Health Organization and other entities is seeking pooled vaccine procurement with financial backing from the international community, followed by fair global distribution. But this framework faces a funding gap, and Guterres has repeatedly called on donors to step up support. The UN chief later posted on Twitter saying, "We must get to work to make sure the vaccine is available to everyone, everywhere." He added, "With this pandemic, none of us are safe until all of us are safe." The Thai government says it'll lift some restrictions it imposed to curb the coronavirus, as officials say they've effectively controlled the spread of infections in most areas. The government announced on Friday schools and most businesses, including restaurants, will be allowed to resume near-normal operations starting in February. In Bangkok, restaurant opening hours have been extended by 2 hours until 11 p.m., but alcohol is still prohibited from being served. High-risk establishments such as bars and karaoke pubs will remain closed.
I feel happy it's getting back to normal. We've been living with it for quite a while. I want it to get back to normal.
The easing measures don't help us at all because alcohol sales are still banned. Normally, our customers would have a drink at our restaurant before going home. As long as they don't allow us to sell alcohol, we won't have income from this.
The number of infections is still increasing in Thailand, with more than 800 new cases confirmed on Friday. Most come from a province near Bangkok. A seafood market there saw an outbreak in December among workers from Myanmar. Health officials say they've had some success in controlling infections.
The outbreak in Thailand has not yet reached to the community level, but the outbreak has happened at specific places, high-risk areas. The big outbreak clusters have not spread to normal places, like many other countries, and that allows us to easily control the outbreak.
Government officials are calling on people to continue to take measures to prevent the spread of infections. Taiwan has posted economic growth of nearly 3% for 2020. Most global economies contracted due to the coronavirus. Authorities attribute the growth to Taiwan's success in keeping the number of infections low by imposing strict measures in the early stages of the pandemic. Taiwan has had about 900 infections so far. Economic stimulus measures, such as issuing shopping coupons, were also effective to keep a drop in consumption at low levels.
Taiwan is successfully curbing the spread of infections. We can afford to enjoy our daily lives.
Both production and consumption have been maintained thanks to effective anti-infection measures leading to economic growth.
Large orders for semiconductors, partly due to the U.S.-China trade conflict, and expanded demand for PCs amid the spread of teleworking, boosted exports, contributing to the growth in GDP. Facebook's new oversight board has ruled the social media company should not have removed user posts in 4 cases. The rulings come amid growing concern over how social networks treat problematic content. The board issued its first ever rulings on Thursday, calling on Facebook to restore all but one of the posts it examined. They covered a range of topics from dubious health information to political commentary and nudity. In one case, it decided a post that included an image of a dead Syrian toddler was offensive, but did not reach the level of hate speech. The Oversight Board was launched last year following criticism the social media giant does not adequately respond to offensive and dangerous content. Cases can be brought by users and the company itself. The board is also set to review Facebook's decision to permanently suspend former U.S. President Donald Trump's account after a deadly siege on the Capitol building earlier this month. In other news, Pakistan's Supreme Court has ordered the release of an Islamic extremist convicted of killing a U.S. journalist in 2002. Wall Street Journal reporter Daniel Pearl was kidnapped and murdered while investigating Islamist militants in the port city of Karachi. The main suspect, Ahmed Omar Saeed Sheikh, was initially sentenced to death, but a high court last year acquitted him. Pearl's parents appealed to the Supreme Court to reinstate the death penalty. The court on Thursday dismissed their appeal and ordered his release and 3 others associated with the murder. The court has not provided a detailed explanation for the decision, but local media report it was based on the grounds of insufficient evidence. The White House expressed outrage over the decision.
We call on the Pakistani government to expeditiously review its legal options, including allowing the United States to prosecute Sheikh for the brutal murder of an American citizen and journalist.
The Pearl family said in a statement, the release of the killers puts the people of Pakistan and journalists everywhere in danger. Shifting gears now to the world of sports, 2 of the world's top female tennis players have faced off in an exhibition match in Australia. Osaka Naomi and Serena Williams locked horns in Adelaide ahead of the Australian Open, which starts next month. It was the first time Osaka played in public since she won the U.S. Open last year. The Japanese tennis sensation is number 3 in the latest world rankings. She lost to Williams 2-6, 6-2, 7-10, with the final set being a 10-point tiebreak.
I haven't seen people and it feels like forever, so just to play in front of you guys is really amazing.
Osaka will take part in a tournament in Melbourne that begins on Sunday. People in northern parts of Japan may see a brief break in the snow this weekend. Our meteorologist Jonathan Oh has the outlook in a World Weather Report.
Hello, it has been quite a snowy pattern across the northern portions of Japan as we had this low pressure system. You can see that spin right there rolling toward the north and east. And I want to show you some video. Take a look at this, where we saw this winter storm pummeling Hokkaido with strong winds and heavy snow Friday. Drivers having a hard time seeing the roads. You can't even see the roads in this video because the visibility was near zero. About 140 schools were closed. Part of Hokkaido had 31 centimeters of snow in just 3 hours, which is the heaviest on record. Winds were as high as 110 kilometers per hour. That's also a record for the month of January. Alerts for snow, winds, waves, and avalanches were in effect for the island, and we're still looking at the snow as we go into Saturday as the low eventually pushes away. Now, up toward the north, we may get a little bit of a break from the snow on Sunday, but then we'll see it redevelop once again and have another low pressure system scooting across the Sea of Japan. So that's going to be bringing in some more active weather as we go throughout the next few days. We're talking about a warm-up coming up as well as a southerly flow starts to pick up. So as we go into the first part of next week, look at this. Tokyo looking at 14 degrees for the high on Monday. Osaka looking at mid-teens as well. Showers in the forecast for Fukuoka as we start off the work week. Broadening out the view, high pressure has been keeping these relatively dry back toward the west. So China, many areas looking at drier weather, but the Korean Peninsula looking at a little bit of the more active weather as that low pressure system pushes toward the east. We do have an active system across the western areas of the United States. This atmospheric river setup brings so much rain, and that's really driving all of this wet weather and snowy weather with strong winds. Now, the lows will eventually push toward the east, but be on the lookout. Southern California, at least for the day on Friday going into Saturday,